You know, like it's different when you meet somebody in college or high school or something like that, or you grow up with somebody or you meet somebody through work, you know, through normal circumstances. But sometimes as an adult, you're just not in those circumstances. July 2011, we actually met on eHarmony.
When I started to get out of the car, we met in a coffee shop and she got out of the car and started heading towards me, heading towards the front door. And I just stood there, looked through the window. I was like, she could be the one.
We went out and within a month we were engaged. Another month we were married.
So we were involved at a church here in the community, and Nicole was volunteering doing a Bible study for a middle school after elementary school. Sorry, and one of her kids in her group was a foster child.
When you see the faces of the kids that are in the system, when you know them, when you get to hear their hearts, I don't think it's as easy to turn away from it. So we went to an informational meeting. The next weekend we went to a training class, and you know, a couple of weeks later we were approved and had kids in our home. So the first placement that we had was 2 boys, and we had them for 2.5 years before they went back to their mom. When they are with you that long, it's even though he's gonna start crying, even though we wanted that reunification and we love mom with everything in us, it was really hard to let go. It still is really hard for them not to be here.
But it should hurt. It should hurt. If you do it right, I think that's probably the number one question that you get is people say, I can't do it. I just can't imagine, you know, having to give them up or the pain. Well, yeah, it's painful. And if you don't feel hurt and grief, then you've not poured your heart into those kids.
And then we did something called respite care, where we helped foster parents out over the summer to where if they're going on vacation or they, you know, the parents want to get away for a romantic getaway or something, you have to have an approved caregiver for the kids. And so we would take those kids for a week or, you know, even a weekend at a time. But when we did that respite care, we kept a couple of our little kids from time to time for their foster parent. It came available that their parents' rights were terminated. Their foster parent was not an adoptive resource for them, and so they were looking for an adoptive home. And finding a place for 5 kids of varying ages.
Not a lot of volunteers for 5.
And to try to all stay together. You know, a lot of people just don't have the ability to take in 5 kids at one time. And so, you know, we really talked about it and prayed about it and felt like, well, we have the capacity, we have the ability, and
we know them.
And these kids could stay together. I mean, they could stay together as a family unit instead of being separated, because lots of times in the system, kids have to be separated. I think this group has been a little more challenging. There have been some butting of heads. Being completely honest, not all of our kids wanted to be adopted. Some of them wanted to go back to their biological family. And so that has made it hard to connect. I mean, we've had to do a lot of extra stuff to make sure that we're building those relationships. I still think it's worth it. It's not just about a feeling, but it's about stepping up when there's kids out there that need us. There are too many kids that don't have anybody to say, I will love you even when you don't love me back, or I will love you even if it's hard today, or even if we're butting heads.
I can see in one of our kids fighting me and not listening, not respect. I see me in my relationship with Christ, and I see me reaching out to them, trying to let them understand that I love them regardless. I chose them, and I see God relating to me. I can see that relationship.
Well, and I think that this foster care and adoption process and journey has kind of taught us to love when we don't feel like loving. It's taught us to stick by each other and to make a commitment and to be there for one another, even in the times where you don't necessarily feel all warm and fuzzy about it. And so it's almost trained us to be better spouses.
Mm-hmm. It's a good reminder that you're living beyond yourself. You're living for something greater. And for your marriage, it's good to apply that it's not about how you're wronged or what you want and how you feel, but it's about laying your life down and you're living for your spouse.
I will also say that neither one of us wants the other one to be left with 6 kids by themselves.
He can't go anywhere.
And so we're holding the other ones down because it's, you can't go anywhere. You're not going to leave me by
How dare
myself.
you.